game development, load the assets and print them on the screen. And this is pretty much what we have up to this point. You can change the color, you can name it, I don't know, 52, number 852, and this is what we are gonna get. But for now we're just gonna leave it at number sign and then triple E. So we have that up to this point, and this is the website for the phaser.io. Okay, so this is the third step, or the 16 in the game dev phase tutorial. You can find the code in the GitHub repository. You can check it out here. This is the lesson 3. Okay, our game will feature a ball rolling around the screen, bouncing off a paddle and destroying bricks to earn points. Familiar, huh? In this article we will look at how to add sprites into our game world having a ball. So let's start by creating a JavaScript variable to represent our ball. Add the following line between the game initializing code, our constant game block, and the preload function. Okay, so let's go to our JavaScript file, and it's gonna be, let me see, it's gonna be, okay, so let me double check. Add the following line between the game initializing code, so it's gonna be between the constant declaration and the function preload. Okay, so we're gonna have this variable let ball, and we are gonna set it to, let me see, we're just gonna leave it like that, so semicolon at the end. So we have that. Now for the sake of this tutorial, we will use global variables. The purpose of this tutorial is to teach Phaser specific approaches to game development rather than dwelling on subjective based approaches. Okay, loading the ball sprite, loading images and printing them in our canvas is a lot easier using Phaser than using pure JavaScript. So to load the asset, we will use the game object created by Phaser, executing its loaded_image method. Add the following new line inside. Okay, so we're gonna put it inside of the preload function at the bottom. Okay, so it's gonna be the preload is gonna be at the bottom, and it's just gonna be, or we can just leave it like that. It's gonna be game that, and it's gonna be load image, so it's gonna be game that load image like this. And okay, so we are gonna have inside of the parentheses, we're gonna have this, we're gonna pass in the variable ball, and we are gonna pass in a second, oops, it has to be in double quotes. Okay, both has to be in double quotes. Okay, so semicolon separated with a comma, and here we're gonna have the image that image slash, and we're gonna have ball that png like that. Okay, so image slash png, so we're gonna go here and create pretty much an image folder, and inside we're gonna have in this ball.png. And what I'm gonna do right now is, okay, so I already in the GitHub repository, and you can click here and pretty much it's gonna send you to the GitHub repository. And I'm gonna go into demos, and I'm gonna go into the image. Okay, so in the image that we want is pretty much the ball.png, and there's gonna be this one, so I'm just gonna download it. So okay, and I'm just gonna go into my downloads. I'm gonna, okay, can delete this one, and I'm just gonna cut it, and I'm gonna go into my folder, and it's gonna be video, it's gonna be video phaser, so it's gonna be inside of the image. I'm gonna paste it here. Okay, so at this point I have this image ball. Okay, let me see if this is working. So we're gonna have the image, no, it's gonna be, yeah, it's gonna be image, and it's gonna be no, it's gonna be that the second one is gonna be, it has to be in the, okay, image, and then it's gonna be ball, oops, it has to be ball that png like that. So we have that up to this point. Let me see if we refresh it. Okay, nothing has happened, that's fine. Okay, so we have that up to this point. the first parameter we want to give the asset is the name that will be used across our game code, for example in our ball variable name. So we need to make sure it is the same. The second parameter is the relative path to the graphic asset. In our case, we will load the image for our ball. Note that the file name does not also have to be the same, but we recommend it as it makes everything easier to follow. So there, of course, to load the image, it must be available in our code directory. So grab the ball image from GitHub. So already did that, and save it inside of /image directory in the same place of your index.html file. Okay, so it is in the same place of the index.html file, and yeah, that's pretty much it that we have to do now. To show it on the screen, we will use another phaser method called add.sprite. So add the following new code line inside the create function as shown. Okay, so add the following new code line, inside of the create function. Okay, so now we're gonna go inside of the curly braces of the create function, and we're gonna have in the variable ball, and we're gonna set it to the game.add, and it's gonna be that sprite. So we're gonna use this method, and we're gonna pass some values. It's gonna be 50 comma, and then the string that is gonna be ball. Okay, semicolon at the end. Save it. And okay, so as you can see, we are rendering in our screen right now, so it's working. Okay, that's fine. So we're using this method, that sprite. Okay, so we are doing that up to this point, and yeah, this is different from CSS. Here we're just using game.load. This is inside of the function preload. We have the game.load that image. We're passing the ball, and then we just have to download the image. So you can pretty much, if you want, since we are gonna download a couple of images, it's very good idea to have a folder name img or whatever. So that's what we have up to this point. Now this will add the ball to the game and render it on the screen. So we already did that. The first two parameters, 50-50, are the x and y coordinates of the canvas where you want it to add it, and the third one is the name of the asset we defined earlier, so the ball asset. So that's it. If you load your index.html file, you will see the image already loaded and rendered on the canvas, so you can compare your code. You can check the finished code for your lesson and yourself. So we already have it here. Pretty much is the same thing. The game that load that image, and then we have the game that sprite. So we have it up to this point. Okay, so that's all that we have for the load assets and print it on the screen. So let's keep rolling and move to the next step. And again, this is all that we have up to this point for our code, and just for the sake, I don't know, let's change it to A50 maybe, just to add a little bit of color. So let's see what happens. Okay, so it's having that. Okay, so we have that up to this point. You can change it later if you want. Okay, so move the ball. This is the fourth step out of the 16. Okay, you know that. You can check out the GitHub repository. So this is gonna be the lesson 4. You can check out the code here. Okay, so we have our blue ball printed on the screen, but it's doing nothing. It would be cool to make it move somehow. This article covers how to do just that. Update the ball's position on each frame. Remember the update function and its definition. The code inside is executed on every frame, so it's a perfect place to put the code that will update the ball's position on the screen. Add the following new lines of code inside update. So now we're going to be dealing with the update function. Okay, so let's make this one okay like that, and we're gonna update the third function. So we have the update function, and inside of the curly braces we are gonna use the variable ball that x. So this is the position, and we're gonna use the plus increment. So it's gonna be plus equal sign, and we're gonna set it to 1, and this is pretty much a saying that ball that x, is gonna be set to the ball. Let me see, ball dot x, so +1. So this is pretty much it. Okay, and then we're gonna have the ball dot y, so and the y coordinates, and we are gonna, yeah, again the same thing, we're gonna increment it, so by the ball y +1. Okay, so we have that up to this point. Let me see, and yeah, it's moving a little bit, as you can see. Okay, so if I refresh it, it's gonna move again. Okay, nothing spectacular, but yeah, it's doing something at least. So we have this function, and we're using this variable ball, and we're using the coordinates x and y. Okay, so the code above adds 1 to the x and y properties, representing the ball coordinates on the canvas on each frame. Reload index.html, and you should see the ball rolling across the screen. So we already did that. Compare your code. You can check the finished code for the lessons and the live demo below and play with it to understand. So this is pretty much all that we had for this chapter. It was very short, so let's keep rolling for the next chapter. So this was moving the ball, so let's keep moving the ball. And now we're gonna deal with physics. Okay, so this is the 5th step of the 16 game phaser tutorial. Oops. Okay, so you can check out this GitHub repository code here. This is the lesson 5. Okay, so for proper collision detection between objects in our game, we will need to have physics. This article introduces you to what's available in Phaser, as well as demonstrating a typical simple setup. So adding physics. Phaser is bundled with 3 different physics engines. Okay, Arcade Physics, P2, Ninja Physics, with a 4 option, Box2D, being available as a commercial plugin. For simple games like ours, we can use the Arcade Physics engine. We don't need any heavy geometry calculations. After all, it's just a ball bouncing off walls and bricks. Okay, first let's initialize Arcade Physics engine in our game. Add the physics.start system method at the beginning of the create function. Okay, make it the first line inside the function as shown below. Okay, so we're gonna go into the create function, which is gonna be this one, the second function. Okay, first let's initialize the Arcade Physics engine in our game. Add the physics.start system method at the beginning of the create function. Okay, so we are gonna have in game, so it has to be before of the variable ball. Okay, game.physics, okay, then physics that start, okay, that start system, like that. Then we're gonna open parentheses, and we're gonna pass in the phaser. We're gonna pass in the phaser as well as physics. Okay, and finally we're gonna pass in arcade, like that, semicolon at the end. So let me see, we have game that physics, okay, game that physics that start system, and then we have phaser that physics that arcade. Okay, that's fine. Next, let me see, something has changed, nothing has changed. Next, we need to enable our ball for the physics system. Phaser object physics is not enabled by default at the following line at the bottom of the create function. So at the bottom of the create function, okay, so it's gonna be pretty much at the bottom. So we're gonna have in game, let me see, it's gonna be game that physics that, okay, enable, and we're gonna have the parameters is gonna be ball, and then it's gonna be phaser. No, it's gonna be the phaser that physics, okay, physics that arcade. So like that, semicolon at the end, and we can save it. So we have the game that physics that enable, ball, phaser that physics that arcade. Okay, so that's what we have up to this point, and again nothing is changing yet. Okay, so the ball is moving. Next, if we want to move our ball on the screen, we can set velocity on its body at the following line, again at the bottom of create. So we're gonna go below, and just pretty much we're gonna add the ball that body that velocity is gonna be ball that body that velocity. Okay, so ball.body.velocity, and it's gonna be that set, and we're gonna pass in some parameters. So it's gonna be 150 comma 150 and then semicolon at the end. Okay, so we have that up to this point. Oops, yeah, as you can see right now, it moves a lot faster, so that's pretty cool. Let's keep moving. Removing our previous update instruction. Remember to remove our old method of adding values to x and y from the update function. So okay, removing our previous update instruction. Remember to remove our old method of adding values to x and y from the update function. We are now handling this properly with Physics Engine. So let me see, final code check. This, the latest code should look like this. Okay, so we have this variable name ball here, then we have the preload. This is the function, the preload. So let me double check. Okay, we have the scale. Okay, we have this, the 3 scale, the stage and load. So we have the 3 scale, the stage and load. That's fine. Then we have the function create. Oh yeah, the function create, and we have we pass in the, this has to be the first one, game.physics.start system. Okay, then we have the ball set to the game. That's fine. Then we have the game.physics ball.velocity.50. That's fine. And finally we have the function update. And again, the function update, as they say here, it has to be we need to remove it. So remove our previous update. So we just need to remove this one, and we're just gonna leave it with empty curly braces. Okay, let me see. So everything is fine up to this point. Okay, try reloading index.html again. So let's do it again. And okay, so we already did it. So, and this is pretty much what we have up to this point. So the ball is moving. Okay, it's moving right now, but we are using physics. Okay, the ball should now be moving constantly in the given direction. At the moment, the physics engine has gravity and friction set to 0. Adding gravity would result in the ball falling down, while friction would eventually stop the ball. Fun with physics. You can do much more with physics. For example, by adding ball.body.gravity.y equal to 100 or set to 100, you will set the vertical gravity of the ball. As a result, it will be launched upwards, but then fall due to the effects of gravity pulling down. Okay, this kind of functionality is just the tip of the iceberg. There are various functions and variables that can help you manipulate the physics objects. Check out the official physics documentation, so this will be very cool to check it out later. Okay, and see the huge collection of examples using arcade and physics too. Okay, so compare your code. So this is all the code that we have up to this point, and yeah, this is all that we have for the chapter in the game development physics. And yeah, this has been our final result. So if we just refresh it, the ball is moving faster.